What's going on, guys? All right, it's time for a knife review. All right, this one I've been carrying on and off for a while. This is not the first version of this. This is just the one I happen to own recently. This is the Benchmade Adamas. All right, cool sheath. I dig all these sheaths. They do this with some of their OTFs too. It's very it's a military style sheath. We have this pull tab, right? So there's a button snap, which works very, very well. All right, so obviously you can fish this in, through your pants. And when you unsnap this, you obviously have access to your folding knife. However, you can also, there's Velcro on the back, so you can Velcro this backwards, so you can still use the sheath, but not have it button snap. So if you want quicker access to it, then you have quicker access to it. It's just a nice option, right? So this one, I got this one in a trade, and I did not get a pocket clip with it, which is fine because I did actually carry it in this, and when I didn't carry it in this, I was using it around the house just without the clip. And most knives are more comfortable without a pocket clip. So I don't mind that all that much, but just, consider that. Obviously, it's going to feel a little bit different with the clip on there. Right out of the gate, this thing's a chunker. I mean, it is. It is a big, fat, wide, heavy knife. There's so many knives these days, and I still use so many different knives, and a lot of you guys do as well. And not a lot of them are this chunky. It's not even half. I mean, this comes in at 7.7 ounces, which is heavy. It's a heavy knife for its size. Well, let me give you some different specs real quick while we're at it. 3.82 inches on our blade is D2. It is flat ground. It's a drop point. This happens to be the combo edge, which we'll talk about a little bit later. 4.8 inches closed. Of course, we have G10. This comes in a couple different colors. Is that like coyote tan, khaki type color? All right, it is steel lined, as you can see, of course. 8.7 inches overall, and again, that's 7.7 ounces, so it is a chunk. But the biggest thing that I think of when I'm actually carrying using this is just how thick it is. So when you're holding the handle, and the handle is pretty ergonomic, you can see we have a little bump here, kind of a finger trowel with that guard, all right, and it flares out on the bottom. So it is comfortable. The two fingers generally are on the front half. The second two fingers are generally on the back half, so that little hill in the middle generally lands in between your fingers. It really just depends on the size of your hands, but it's comfortable enough. Jimping works very well. It's very purposeful. Even though we have a wide set, thicker liners and the scales, it's very comfortable on the actual thumb ramp here, as well as continues onto the base of the blade. So that's very purposeful. Double thumb stud, of course, access lock on this guy. All right, smooth opening and closing, works totally fine. Obviously, you guys know the access lock at this point. There's holes in the handle here, lightning holes, right? Because this is a chunky, heavy guy, so it is skeletonized as much as possible, but even with all those holes, still almost 8 ounces. We have a thicker blade here, though. So the thicker stock, it just comes across as one of those knives that it doesn't, it's sharp, but when you're dealing with so many other thinner, leaner edges, it doesn't seem as sharp. Now this one's in D2. It's worth noting that they make, and it's kind of a little confusing because if you get one of these right now, and they have an automatic version too that's more expensive, but the manual versions, most of them are going to be crew wear. All right, I don't think they use D2 anymore, but the crew wear ones are actually a little lighter. They come at 6.45 ounces. Price on these just under $300, $293-ish. If you wanted one in D2, you could find them on eBay and stuff. People are still charging $290, $300. It just depends, but you're looking at about a $300 knife. Now, the takeaway from here is that if you want a knife that you don't think will break, this is a good option. You have all the regular cold steel suspects, right? All the big cold steel chunky knives. Those are all fantastic too. But this is Benchmade's offering. This is their thick, fat boy. This boy is thick, and you feel it. So when you're cutting through things, like I said, it's sharp, and the serration pattern's fine. I'm not a huge fan of combo edges, but it works. It's just a little harder to sharpen, keep up with maintenance. But the serration portion of this is still very, very sharp. It was barely used. Again, I got this in a trade. The front portion here was a little bit more dull, but just touched up very easily. Again, the D2 is easy to sharpen. So it cuts and it's sharp, but it's thick, so you get that wedge action. So like when you're cutting things, especially cardboard, it feels like a dog. It feels like, wow, this isn't that sharp because you're using more pressure. You're having to force that wedge, fatter blade through things compared to a lot thinner knives. So if you're used to a lot thinner knives and you grab something like this, you can be like, yeah, this thing doesn't seem that sharp. But you're wrong, it is. It is sharp, it's just different. So if you're someone who really beats on your knives and you're prying paint cans open and you're stabbing stuff, this might be a better option than some of those cool Spydercos where you might snap your tip off. I think you're less likely to do that with one of these. You know, that's the offset or the big chunkiness of it. So it's a good knife. Is it worth $300? I mean, that's up to you. For $300 range, there's a lot of options. And I mean like a lot. So it's hard to say like, yeah, it's totally worth it. But I mean, if you want a thick knife, there's not as many in the market, you know, and this is definitely a good option. It's a good quality knife. It works well. The crew wear is definitely a steel upgrade. I'll definitely say that. The D2 is cool. There's nothing wrong with it. But if you got one of these, you know, brand new from like some kind of dealer like BladeHQ or, you know, Knife Center, whatever, you're going to find that the crew wear is definitely going to perform for you. It's going to be cool. It's going to work very well, in other words. But just keep in mind, if you're not used to thicker, bigger knives, but again, you know, the thicker blade stock, it just cuts different. It just really does. So just be mindful of that. But if you just want something that just you can kind of beat up more, this might be a better option. That's all. But you guys let me know what you think. You know, I'm curious to hear your thoughts on stuff. If you happen to have one of these, I mean, the automatics are cool as well. Definitely like an automatic, and especially now I can carry them in Pennsylvania. It's no big deal. So, but yeah, this is an older, you know, D2 manual version of it. But again, just dig the sheath. Love the whole setup here. It's very cool. This would, again, be very nice to put on, you know, like a vest or something. If, again, you have to be mindful of the weight. But if you have some kind of ballistic vest or something, you have your go-to, stuff's going down, and you want a beefy folder, this might be a cool one. Cool one for the vest, like I said. So in that scenario, you know, your survival type folding knife, obviously you want a fixed blade on there too, but if you do feel like you need a folder, that's definitely a beefier folder that can definitely handle some stuff before it starts breaking or having issues. So I'll say that. It's chunky, but there's, you know, a payout for that. It's just a lot of you guys, especially now, with all the modern knives, you're probably used to thinner knives that definitely feel sharper and they cut easier because they're leaner, thinner grinds and thinner blades. So you literally have less resistance, you know. So, I mean, if you take your pocket knife out, depending on what you carry, and you go to cut something like an apple, and then you take out a very nice high-end kitchen knife and you cut the apple, you're going to go, wow, my knife sucks. No, it doesn't suck. It's just different. That's all. But that kitchen knife certainly won't withstand the damage to its edge that your, you know, EDC might. So just saying, there's a give and take with everything, but this boy is thick. So if you don't like a thick, definitely pass this guy up. There's other knives out there. But if you do want something a little bit more substantial, this is an option. So that's all. Benchmade Adamas. Thanks for watching. Hope you guys have a wonderful day. See you tomorrow with a brand new video. Take care.